How to be a good patron. We have discussed many different forms and levels of patron-client relationships. Let's now look at how we ourselves could become good patrons, either as individuals or church teams or as organizational service providers. If you are a donor or a manager, an administrator, or a supervisor with influence, accept your role as a patron or leader where you can bless and benefit others. Use this role with humility. You know, the notion of patron-client relationships maybe sounds colonial or paternalistic, and so we often call ourselves partners or service providers, and they are service users, or you can fill in the blank. But my invitation is, instead of the nice-sounding platitudes like partnerships, which can actually be superficial, we should acknowledge that often relationships of this nature are actually unequal patron-client relationships. But the role of the patron can be a tremendous opportunity to bless the client. Recognize that to be a patron is a multidimensional position, which includes financial support, but much more. It is a moral relationship, so really care for the people. True generosity is more than money. Visit the clients. Actually, they're much more than clients. Show personal interest in them. Identify with ordinary people. Get on their level. Connect with them with an attitude of respect, listening to them and really greeting them. Go out of your way to drink tea with them. Be ready to offer advice. Use the role as a mentor to them. Sometimes it might be good to provide one-off special help when they have specific needs. However, don't see yourself as the great savior and liberator for all the needy, which can appear quite self-righteous. Never use coercion and manipulation in your care for others. Guard against doing good with a specific agenda in mind. You know, the Persians say, do good and throw it in the river. Don't make the relationship conditional. But at the same time, you ask yourself, how can I be generous and wise in my giving? So choose clients wisely. While you don't want to manipulate the clients, you want the clients to be faithful and productive with the benefits that they receive. If you give without expectations in return, you actually encourage indifference in the clients. Some donors want to be anonymous donors, secrecy in giving. But this can actually be frustrating for the recipient who sees the gift as part of a relationship and wants to return the gift with gratitude. And so it is good to expect and welcome thanks and gifts from the recipient. Related to this, donors should appreciate the recipients to respond and even to nurture this ongoing cycle of giving and responding. Small money. Start with small requests, which builds trust and leads to deep loyalty and even sacrificial generosity in return. Use the connections that you have. Introduce your clients or your recipients to others who can also help them. If you don't help people in this way, these people will question whether you really care for them. In other words, use the influence you have for the good and welfare of others. Empower your friends. You may lose their dependence upon you. They may be less loyal to you, but the friendship will grow deeper. It's interesting how this actually works against the patronage system on the long run. So qualities like care, humility, and serving the clients or the friends, they can actually undermine the patronage system because the client develops and grows stronger and becomes a person of influence themselves. How to be a good client. Now, what about the other way around? You are the one who receives the benefits from a donor or a service provider. How can you be a good receiver? Well, first of all, genuinely give thanks to the donor or the patron or the service provider. Don't take their helps for granted, as if this is something they will automatically or always do. Learn to nurture the relationship. Offer small gifts that are not manipulative or scheming, but that come from a heart of real gratitude. A local home-cooked meal, genuine hospitality is a wonderful way to thank and serve the patron or the donor. Give regular updates of your life, of your situation, your ministry. They have blessed you, and so bless them in return. And what do they want? They want reports. Give them reports, stories, testimonies, and of course, recent ones, genuine ones. Pray for your patron. You want God to bless them because they've blessed you. I think it's also good to commit to your patron's values and causes. The patron trusts you, and you should also believe in the patron. But be careful not to compare patrons with each other, and especially not to your own patron. This can become very manipulative to push one patron to outdo the other. Be careful about expecting too much from donors, as if they are your life guarantors. What if they don't increase their support? What if they don't continue their support? Do you still see them as your friends? Or will you speak negatively of them and cut your relationship with them? Be willing to learn from the patron and be ready to ask questions and even disagree with the patron. Clients can tend to grovel in an artificial humility and subservient attitude, and we don't want to be like that. As a client, you obviously have needs, but don't exaggerate your needs. If the projects are going great, express that. Now here's an awkward balance between a donor and a donee. If you as a recipient are well-funded or even overfunded, what if the donor finds out? Will you lose future support from them? From my experience with donors, they deeply appreciate honesty and reporting that does not exaggerate. They may even provide more benefits. How about this? See if you can be a patron in your own small way as well, possibly as a broker or connector. Related to this, don't be possessive of your patron. Or in other words, be ready to share the patron or your service provider with others. So let's look at this activity, becoming a good patron, becoming a good client.